Showdown time on the Santos Tour Down Under. It was all to start from McLaren Vale, a 151.5 kilometre ride, finishing on top of Wollonga Hill. A traditional penultimate stage of this race, and a nervous start as the riders made their way out of McLaren Vale first time.
Facing 3 flat laps around Aldinga Beach before coming back into Wollonga for the final time to go over that climb on 2 occasions. The race started very quickly. Initially 3 riders were finally joined with the help of Jack Bauer by number 1, 2, 3, and that rider there, a youngster on Team Française de Jeu, Jeremy Maison from France.
4 riders in front, Thomas Degent, Jack Bauer, Jeremy Maison and the Australian Will Clark. It was a while before they were able to prize open a substantial lead, and there were spectators not interested in the passage of the race, but they were about the only ones. There were massive crowds on the route today. Down Aldinga Beach, they were building a lead of around 2 minutes.
Yes, the main field always under control of Team BMC, and the 4-man breakaway group was never given more than 2.5 minutes advantage. Even so, Simon Gerrans, a 4-time winner of this race, seemed quite happy in the main field.
And Richie Porte in the ochre jersey stalking the field as well, with his strong BMC team always at the front setting the pace, limiting the attack of those 4 riders. It took a while to wedge it up to 2 minutes and 15 seconds as the riders continued to hover. The big target for one man in the breakaway, that of Thomas Degent, was the King of the Mountains prize on top of the first ascent of Wollonga Hill.
That's Thomas Degent just sitting at the back there with the polka dot jersey on, and he certainly realised if this breakaway could survive to get to the top of Old Wollonga Hill, he'd have a very good chance of taking the overall lead in the King of the Mountains competition. But when they went through Snapper Point after 63 kilometres covered, it was the young Frenchman Jeremy Maison who got himself the 3-second time bonus.
The peloton now were getting closer. 1 minute 50 was now the time gap, always under the escort of Port's BMC team. Huge crowds saw them on the way to head out now towards McLaren Vale and complete another lap, and then on to Wollonga as the circuits continued. They're about to go on their 3rd and final circuit of the event before the big climb.
But it was as if the 4-man breakaway group knew just exactly how the race was unfolding behind, because when they came to Snapper Point for the 2nd time after 103 kilometres covered, this time it was Thomas Degent went through there in 1st position, and Thomas Degent started to wind up the pace, hoping that they could conserve some of their advantage for the first attempt of the climb.
They were getting no further and no closer, but then all of a sudden, with the extra turns by Degent, it went up to 2 minutes 50, and then they came into Wollonga itself. The only way out now was up the Wollonga Hill. All the cones had been removed, no more horseshoe return. It was now becoming the battle it always has been of Wollonga Hill. Thomas Degent, a climber, hit the front, and off the back went Will Clark, leaving 3 in front.
Looking over his shoulder, Jack Bauer wanted to know how it was unfolding, but Thomas Degent realised if he could just keep that break going and go over the top of the climb in 1st place, he would double the point score that he'd had in the morning in that competition, taking his score from 16 to 32, and he did it quite easily.
Leading 3 riders over the top, Jeremy Maison just about hanging on the back. Now it's a plateau before you descend down to Wollonga. The peloton going through just under 2 minutes later, and all performing in front of one of the biggest crowds seen on Wollonga Hill. Now, believe it, 92 kilometres an hour these riders were freewheeling down, and the peloton were hitting over 100 kilometres an hour because they were pulling them back. The gap was descending rapidly.
Yes, different teams taking an interest. Finally, it went inside of the 1 minute margin, and when they got almost to the outskirts of Wollonga for the final time, it was game over because of the pressure applied at the front of the main field by Orica Scott.
Now it was a battle for the men that want to win this race when it finishes in Adelaide tomorrow. Jack Bauer still somehow managed to pace his teammates, but not for long. Once on the climb of the old Wollonga Hill, it was pressure now, and only the big favourites could survive at the front. Touch of wheels, Jay McCartney, very lucky indeed. He clipped the back wheel of Sergio Henao. It cost him though, he lost his rhythm, and Richie Porte had spotted it all. Porte putting in an attack that finished literally 1.5 kilometres away. Sergio Henao tried to follow, Esteban Chavez tried to follow, they couldn't do it. Porte, the king of Wollonga the last 3 years, he's never been beaten, now racing away with it again.
Just looking over his shoulder once to check and make sure as he went over the King of the Mountains spot in first position that the gap between him and the rest was safe as he swung into the finishing straight.
In front of an enormous crowd for the 4th year in a row, Port was the champion on the line. He'd never done it before though, wearing the race leader's jersey. Literally every second counted now, and it would put him further ahead overall in this race. Richie Port from Tasmania and from the American-Swiss team BMC had done what he promised. He's won the 2 key stages of this race. Everything, it seems, going according to plan. Let's go down to the finish and hear from him with Paul Sherwin.
Well, Richie, today you really confirmed yourself as the king of Wollonga Hill, and winning in the ochre jersey today, did that make it just a little bit more special?
I tell you what, that hurt more than the other 3 that I've won up here. It was, I went from quite a long way out, and it's just incredible teamwork today, and I'm just happy to finish it off for the guys.
Talk about consolidating. I mean, even up until this morning, the 20-second advantage seemed large, but now you can ride more comfortably tomorrow on the streets of Adelaide.
Yeah, I mean, it's that street circuit in Adelaide. It's not easy. I mean, anything can happen there too. So I'm happy with where I'm at the moment. I put some good time into the other guys, and I think it'll make tomorrow maybe a little bit more relaxed for us.
So Richie Port now faces up to those last 90 kilometres of this year's Santos Tour Down Under with a very commanding lead overall. Welcomed on stage before this massive crowd on top of the Wollonga Hill, and the congratulations all round. The King of Wollonga has not abdicated yet. He salutes the crowd. He holds now 48 seconds overall lead in this race. If he can hold that to the bitter end, it'll be the 2nd biggest ever winning margin. There's the ochre jersey for him. He's led since Tuesday when he took it on Paracombe. He's won the next big climb here on Wollonga Hill. Tomorrow he should be confirmed the winner of this event.
Thank you, Minister. And once again...